Greetings all. I would like to speak with you guys on a topic that is very important, not just to the young man, but to the old man as well. This topic is very ancient, and it is so ancient that it actually has much to do with the influence of creation. This topic is drive. Drive is a very big deal. Drive is needed for anything and everything with purpose. As a matter of fact, you can locate how much purpose a thing has by identifying the level of drive that was invested into that thing. Drive can take on many forms. Drive can be, in business terms, sweat equity, or it could actually be tangible equity. For a father, drive may not mean the same thing to his son. For a mother, drive may not mean the same thing to the daughter. The child might grow up in a good scenario. That child just might grow up privileged with everything that they need. They may have been so privileged that it may be questionable why they would even want a job in their older years. But at the end of the day, when you ask that same child about their parents, they might not have much good to say about them. Why? Because to that child, the drive of the parents was not geared towards parenting, when in reality, those parents had much drive, and so much drive that they didn't just have children, but they made sure that the children were to be born in the right setting, were to be raised in the right setting, and to be privileged. Privileged enough to not realize what they have. Now, some may say that the child could be right. Some may say that the parents are right indefinitely. Some may say that it's a matter of perception. Well, if it is a matter of perception, then that child's perception should remain the same even when they become parents. But guess what? It's not a matter of perception. Because once that child becomes a parent, they realize that not only were they spoiled, but they did not understand what it took to provide for another life. Drive, fortunately, wields second chances. But unfortunately, drive falls under the laws of life, and life does not have second chances. There may be second chances within life, but there are no second chances over life. Therefore, it is best to figure drive out within one's lifetime. It is best to figure drive out early to alleviate all of the need for second chances. The concept of second chances should be basic, but unfortunately, the majority of people that live their lives live it as if they do get second chances at life. The reality is that there are no second chances at life. There's only second chances for things within life. So drive is very important because in all essence, you only get one shot at it. The young believe that they have 1,000 shots at drive until they're no longer young. Reality is very hard for people to understand when they're young. That's why youth is full of a succession of reality checks, because the young are still trying to figure out what reality is in all essence. Now, drive lives within life. It is under life. But life lives within reality. Therefore, not only is it good to understand drive, and not only is it good to understand life, but it is also good to understand reality. Now, drive is needed in order to accomplish a thing. Nothing with any sense of perfection is accomplished without drive. Now, we've covered what perfection is. Now it is only right that we cover where it stands within drive. The very purpose of drive is to bring out perfection in the thing. When there is a problem that becomes apparent, that problem has revealed itself to be imperfect, meaning that there is an area that requires perfection within this thing. For someone to successfully do what it takes to not only understand how this imperfection came about, but to understand what it takes to bring perfection out of this thing, is going to require a great degree of drive. A great myth about drive is that one should always feel like doing a thing. There's nothing wrong with feeling like doing something, but it is only right that someone understands the purpose of feeling in the first place. See, there are many that aim to accomplish specific tasks with emotion or emotional content as their source of drive, where in reality, emotional content is not purposed for drive. Emotional content is purposed for perception. So here you have people that are trying to accomplish something with emotion being their fuel. That is an issue. That is an issue. Why is this an issue? Because emotion, in all essence, can be a tool. It can be a weapon, but it is not a strong enough source for one to bring out perfection within a task, within a thing. Emotional content is not strong enough to act on. Emotional content is purposed for perception. Whenever someone closes a door and accidentally shuts their finger within that door, what they feel from that incident is there to notify that person that they should stop doing that thing. If that person ignored how they felt and not only harmed theirself once more, but actually threw their second hand within that door, that will be a clear sign that that person is insane. Why? Because they are ignoring how they feel. Why is it important for someone to not ignore how they feel? Because feeling is not there for someone to act on. Feeling is there for someone to understand. If something is wrong for the body automatically emits pain to let you know that you shouldn't be doing that thing. Therefore, if you feel a specific way concerning a thing and you don't necessarily know what to think about it, it is good to listen to how you feel. Why? Because that is what your emotions are there for. Perception. That is the beauty of emotion. But as powerful as emotion is, it is not an excuse to roam this earth without knowledge. To roam this earth ignoring matters. To roam this earth with ignorance. It is good to know what you're getting yourself into, so that once you feel a specific way concerning what you know, you can develop understanding about that thing. But guess what? That understanding, that emotion, is not a good source of drive. Because even though emotion helps us in the areas that we are not knowledgeable in, it is not a strong enough source for someone to act on. Because how someone feels could still be wrong. Drive has direction to it. Whenever someone has a destination that they want to go, first of all, they know where they want to go. That's knowledge. Second of all, their emotions come into play when they start getting closer to where they want to go. Because how they feel about their direction, it doesn't give confirmation, but it does assist in the process. Because it takes your emotion to memorize something. It takes your emotion to remember something. Therefore, emotion is important in this process, but it's not a good enough source for someone to drive based on. If this drive is longer than this person expected, they may not feel like getting to their destination anymore. If this task is a little more rigorous than this person was prepared for, they may not feel like enduring. Therefore, that person has to be driving for something deeper than how they feel in order to successfully get to their said destination. Drive. So how do we get there? This destination has to have some kind of importance that resonates with who this person is as a person. And it has to resonate with who this person is as a person in order for them to use their knowledge to develop understanding so that they can use their judgment on how to get there. This is what we call today common sense, or what most call wisdom, and what some call conventional wisdom. Now, this destination, though it may resonate with who this person is, that still isn't a good enough source for drive. Why is this? Because who this person is might dictate if this destination is worthy to pursue. But that person might change. Now, as you could tell, the deeper the sources are, the less risk, the less probability of this person changing their mission, changing their destination, or just canceling the trip altogether. For the mind, there's a great probability. For the emotions, there's less probability. For the spirit, or who someone is as a person, there's even less probability of change. But it's still not good enough. Why? Because this person might change. They might change, or their judgment may cause them to see this destination as something that they don't believe in after all. So it's not good enough. Not for drive. It's no wonder why so many people aim to do something, but they can't get it done. For some people, their mind wasn't right. For some people, their emotions were out of place. For some, their personality was untamed. And here we have people, the majority, that sincerely want something. They sincerely want to do a specific thing. And because they feel like doing it at a specific time, because they know that they have a mind for it, because they know that they have the discipline for it, the expectations for it, the will for it. They think that they will actually achieve to do the thing. And in reality, they are guessing. They are guessing and hoping that they have what it takes to get this thing done. It's no wonder why people have to get lucky to be successful. Is that the only way to become successful? No. God wouldn't put us into this earth to dwell within it in His image and in His likeness, so that we will have to be lucky in order to succeed. I don't think so. No, God put us into this earth so that we would have to be unlucky to fail. And see, it takes the wisdom of God for someone to shoot and never miss. The very same wisdom that I'm sharing with you today. So, if knowledge isn't strong enough, if emotion isn't strong enough, if judgment isn't strong enough, what is strong enough? It takes your heart. It takes your motives to emit drive. If a matter is not deep within your heart, you're not going to have drive for that thing. You may feel like doing it until you no longer feel like doing it. You may know what it takes until you learn what else it takes, and then is discouraged. You may even have the attributes as a person to go and get this thing, to where people will watch you on the sidelines and say, why haven't you done this years ago? But if it's not in your heart, you will not have drive for it. Drive separates the boys from the men. Just to clarify what that cliche means, there were times in ancient history where certain people of certain states would be forced into a war state where the men had to prepare for war, and the young men had to prepare for war. The young men, in some of these cases, were boys. But because of what we're talking about now, drive, there were certain instances where the men left the war in less numbers, but the boys left in greater numbers. Why is this? Because their drive separated them. And some of those boys were made into men. And some of those men were made into boys due to the war, due to the toil, due to the extreme, harsh responsibilities on them in their old age. Drive separates the boys from the men on a day-to-day basis. When you understand these things and someone stand before you within your kingdom, within your domain, challenging your throne, you can look in their eyes and be able to tell if they have drive or not. How do you get something into your heart? There are extremes, but in all essence, they fall between these two categories. One is a light, one is a void, or in other terms, it appears as darkness. One is a form of power, another is a form of weakness. And for the scientists, I mean actual literal power, electricity power. And when I say weakness, I mean it kills power, or it is absent of power, or dies in the midst of power or electricity. And one is a person and the other is a abomination. In order to get something into your heart, it has to fall within these two categories. And those categories are love and hate. Love and hate. Now, we might do a special study on love within this series. But if not, I have other studies on love. So if you want to learn more about love, I highly suggest that you look those up. But for the sake of this study, love can emit in a number of forms. The one that is most famous, most known on the earth is through action. Hatred also can be shown in many forms, emitted in many forms, and one of those is through action as well. So, for someone to get something into their heart, it has to fall within one of those categories. It can be an extreme, or it can be minor. It could be in the form of kindness, or it could be in the form of dislike. Either way, it could take any of those paths into your heart. This is a dangerous road when you don't understand spiritual matters. Reason why is because you could be pursuing something and not realize what you're allowing into your heart. So here you are pursuing something in order to benefit those that you love. But as you're instilling things into your heart in order to get the job done, some other things may slip into your heart that actually causes you to neglect those that you love and everything that you care about in order to get this job done. People do it all the time today, and they use whatever excuses that they need. oh, this is what it takes. This is what I have to do. This is the only way to get there. This is the only way to succeed. Until they get to the top of the mountain, and now they're high enough to see other people on other mountains that have gotten to their mountains from better paths. Now they have to spend the rest of their lives asking for forgiveness from people that can't forgive them for what they've done to them. See, drive is very powerful, but if you don't understand the realm that drive dwells in, if you don't understand the realms that are into play here, you can end up on the wrong side of drive, and it will be better for you if you had no drive at all. This is big. Now, my best advice, the best revelation that I could give is to take on God's path for drive, is to use God's method for drive. And that is to simply allow His love to come into your heart and accepting the drive that comes with that love in your heart. By doing this, all of the inspirational videos, movies, books, advice that everyone else that chooses to pursue a life of drive without God chooses, you won't have to invest in any of those things. The drive comes with the love. That's my advice. That's my revelation to you all. But of course, you are free to take on whichever path that you please. Drive. It is good to have. It is very important to have. But drive, in all essence, it is not meant to be squandered. Drive is not a guessing game. Drive isn't something that someone should have because they've seen a motivational video or two. Drive has a source behind it, whether you know what source it is or not. It is best that you choose your source, and that you choose so wisely, because if you don't, chances are there will be a price that comes with your drive. There will be a price that comes with the things that you obtain by your drive. And the only option that you would have is to numb your senses so that you would not feel the regrets that comes with the wrong kind of drive. It is best to get your drive from God. There are business people in the world that have businesses that are very fortunate, but they bring in very little profit. The main reason for this, in many cases, is that the person that owns the business likes doing everything themselves. They don't trust experts. They don't trust others that live to do the certain tasks that makes a great corporation, a great empire. You will be amazed how many people try to do this spiritually. I am here today to tell you, it is the majority of people that we know. The majority of people that we deal with. Most people like doing everything themselves, spiritually speaking. That's why they like doing everything themselves, naturally speaking. And when they need help or assistance or power in the spirit realm with spiritual matters, they think that they can handle it. But then there's those companies that skyrocket and they don't come down. Why? Because the person on top has no problem finding someone that has a perfect calling within their corporation, within their empire. If this principle works in the business world, imagine how it works in the spiritual world. Imagine how life would be for you if you allowed God to assign angels on your behalf that live to assist you within your empire. And we're not talking a couple. We're not talking a dozen. We're talking hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands. There are levels to drive. What we've just covered are the basics to the levels of drive. I can highly anticipate us covering the depths of the levels of drive in future studies. But until then, love you guys. Stay wise.